An aching wet north wind rolls over Jimmy Smith's farm in Beckham County, hitting the pause button on cotton harvest. For Jimmy, starting and stopping has become normal since firing up the stripper.
Yeah, we started harvesting probably 3 weeks ago, and when we first started, we had defoliated everything, but we were getting these days similar to today, and we could only run like 4 hours a day, and it's hard to get anything done.
Although there's been batches of days like this, recently a full week of great weather allowed Jimmy to cover a lot of ground.
We're about probably 2/3 done. So we've had some really good weather this past week to get it, and weather like this, we just can't do anything.
The fact Jimmy has a crop to worry about at all is amazing considering the situation he was facing the last time we spoke with him. Beckham County bore the brunt of the late spring rains that pummeled the state, delaying planting and leaving producers like Jimmy wondering if they would even have a crop to harvest.
We were so wet out here, we got so much rain that it delayed us probably 2 weeks in planting, and even then, like this particular field here, we were having to go through terrace channels that were plumb full of water and raising our planter up and planting it back, and it was just planted in pure mud, some of it, but hey, it was that time of year, we had to get it in the ground.
It wasn't just the amount of precipitation that was the problem, but also how the rain fell.
We do all no-till, and you can kind of see some of our rye out here. Some of this ground was so compacted because of the hard rain that we didn't get a good stand on our cover crop. So after harvest, we're having to come back in here and spot in some of our cover crop. But after that wet period, we kind of got a dry period then, and the stuff started to grow. And I'll be dang, it's not a fantastic crop, but we've got a crop.
But just as the cotton was coming along, an unexpected October freeze put his crop in jeopardy.
Luckily, we had everything defoliated, but I think when we defoliated a lot of this cotton, the weather was already kind of cool because we were a little late in the game. So that's the reason you see a lot of leaves out here, and then we got that freeze and it just stuck the leaves to it.
Despite the early summer rainfall and the unpredictable October freeze, Jimmy was able to pull off a crop. Beckham County Extension Director Greg Hartman says some producers in surrounding areas weren't as fortunate.
A lot of guys hadn't already got their prep put down. A lot of the bowls never did open back up, and by about the 13th or 14th of October, a lot of the cotton was already blackened and it was starting to die off, and so we got a lot of bowls that just never did open, and so the cotton crop never got a chance.
Well, I'm in my 60s and been farming all my life with my dad and my granddad, and I have to say this is probably the weirdest year I've ever seen. I am really surprised, and when we were planting this stuff in muddy conditions, I honestly thought it would be a crop insurance year where we didn't harvest anything.
For Jimmy, though it might not be the best crop, it's a crop. With about a third of it left to go, he needs just a few more days of dry weather so he can hit the play button on harvest.
Hopefully this weekend, they're talking like good sunny weather. Maybe we can get started again maybe this weekend, but then next week they're talking a little bit more rain. So I don't know. You never know. That's just the way farming is.
So Seth, talking with Jimmy, he was lucky enough to get some harvest days before that big freeze happened in October, but other producers weren't as lucky. How big of an impact did that mid-October freeze have on the cotton crop now that we're getting into harvest?
Yeah, you certainly saw at least a visual impact so far. We're getting some grades back. I'll say that the cotton that didn't get that harvested application on, we're probably in a lot of areas just getting into that crop. A lot of the crop that saw harvest application was our better cotton, and so far on that, and even some of that wasn't ideal when that freeze may have came within a week or 10 days of an application. But so far, both our yields are okay. They're not where we thought they would be, but our grades are looking pretty good.
Yeah, moving on to like the overall picture, how far are we along in harvest going right now? We're toward getting into December.
Yeah, so we've gotten most of the irrigated crop out, and what you'll normally see is that the irrigated crop is usually our one we're going to try to get to first. It's usually our better cotton, obviously, and higher quality. A lot of areas where you have more predominant dry land, they're still going to stick to that better end of the dry land scale first. So in the southwest corner, which is where I've been spending a lot of time recently, most of the irrigated crop is out. A lot of folks have moved on to the dry land side, but there's still some pivots left that need to be picked or stripped. As you move further north in sort of the west central area, same general thing. We're getting a lot of the irrigated out still, and you do have big pockets there of dry land where we're seeing some of that crop come out. And then in other areas where we don't have a whole lot of cotton, there's been a lot of areas that have probably, you know, what little cotton they had, such as the Panhandle or other areas, it's almost all out by now. And again, luckily we're seeing grades come back on what we've got so far, and everything as far as quality wise is looking really good. And so after the rough start of the year and the rough sort of end of the year, that's a good sign so far.
Yeah, you know, talking with Jimmy, he's been farming pretty much his entire life. He's, you know, in his 60s. He said this is one of the weirdest years he's ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, in your opinion, how, like, are you surprised that the cotton is maybe as good as it is considering, you know, the elements that it's had to face?
Yeah. Well, I'll say that I was certainly surprised if we go to September how good we were looking. And then I think now a lot of us are surprised on how light it seems to be weighing. You look at a field that you think is going to be, you know, a 3.5 bale field, and it's coming in 3 bales or less. And we're not seeing it. You know, a lot of times you'll see low mic cause low weights, and we're not seeing that. Our micronair is good. It's a mature crop. So I think it's been a roller coaster year. We started pretty low and we kind of got excited, and then, you know, the heat turned on, we got worried, and then we got excited again near the end. And now we're harvesting and we're not sure what to think.
All right, thanks, Seth. Seth Byrd, Cotton Extension Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.